Speakers greetings Alliance, and welcome back to something a bit different. Today we will be starting a new series where I will be analysing the Skibidi multiverse by Dom's studio from start to finish. It's been a while since I watched the multiverse and I only remember a rough outline of its overall plot, so I thought it'd be good to catch up on it since episode 47 part 1 has been released. I'll be starting with the first 2 seasons and I will share my thoughts and theories about this spin-off after each episode with a quick recap at the end. Before we start, yes, I know I said this video would be out sooner, but I've been busy with a few things. So, without further ado, let's dive into the multiverse. Okay, so episode 1 starts before or after Titan Cameraman and Titan Speakerman dap each other in episode 59, but 3 Astro Assailants appear and lure Titan Speakerman away. An additional 2 force Titan Cameraman to defend himself from their lasers, whilst a Skibidi parasite drills deep into Titan Cameraman's body to infect him. A small detail is that he rips one of the sharp claws from his core and attempts to stab the parasite from within. But before Titan Speakerman can help, the Astros distract him and Titan Cameraman flies off, starting to fall under the parasite's influence. Titan Speakerman gives chase, but more Skibidi reinforcements arrive, but are swiftly dealt with the Guardian Clockman and the arrival of the new Clockman faction. The Chief Clockman hands the point of view a wristwatch, which we soon see makes the wearer immune to time manipulation. A large Clockman appears alongside a pendulum and an alarm Clockman, and when the large Clockman's minute hand strikes 12 o'clock, time stops around them for about 25 seconds. And during these 25 seconds, they hand the Speakerman a wristwatch and place some explosives on the bulk of the Skibidi reinforcements, who are then obliterated when time resumes, the episode ending shortly afterwards. Okay, that was a lot for a first episode. Firstly, I find it interesting that this multiverse starts at episode 59 and not earlier on. This would mean Titan TV Man is still undergoing repairs from his encounter with Jimmy, and the administrator is now watching how the Skibidi war will unfold from here, this universe branching off from the official series at this point. I will turn a blind eye to the obvious Astro Assailant duplications, as he was the first and only Astro in the official series at this time, and information about him and his capabilities was scarce. Now, how would those explosives even work if time is stopped? Well, it's likely they were proximity explosives that were armed during the time freeze, and thus instantly triggering when time resumes when they were in proximity of the Skibidis. Okay, so episode 2 starts with a group of Skibidis advancing towards the group from episode 1, but before any of the group are lost, the big Clockman stops time, but only for around 10 seconds, in which they deal with the flying Rocketeer Skibidi. After time resumes, the Clockman's helicopter arrives to extract the group. But oh no, bigger ones have arrived now. Big Clockman tries to stop time again for some reason, but can't as he's run out of energy, or is on a cooldown, as his clock face is no longer glowing. The group extracts the Clockman base. Inside the base we meet the Cuckoo Clockman, and the Pendulum Clockman reverses time on a wilted rose, this likely being ability foreshadowing for a certain Titan we'll be seeing later on. The Clock Chief writes a message in Morse code that translates to "Need Titan" before the Alarm Clockman bursts through the door, as there are now several dozen Skibidis outside the base, including the Skull Dismantler from episode 55, somehow. But before anything bad happens, a loud chime is heard. The cameraman looks up and witnesses the Clock Titan before time is rewound. Okay, I don't really have much to say about this episode, but why on earth does the Clockman base look like something out of Nightmare Before Christmas? Seriously, the only clock thing related about this base is the massive pocket watch hanging from the top of the crescent moon. Besides that, how would Chief Clockman know that there are a crap ton of Skibidis at his doorstep? So much so he would have to call on their Titan. My only guess is there is a surveillance system that informed him off screen, as the only real hint to us was the Alarm Clockman just doing his job as an alarm for the base. My only other gripe is how the Skibidis found the clock base so fast. It could be possible that they followed the extraction shuttle home to their base, but that doesn't explain the Skull Dismantler's sudden return from episode 55. Maybe they made more of them, I'm not sure at this point. In episode 3, time has been rewound, and the point of view is now on a roof. We can see TV Woman with a scythe, and a few other TV men in an alleyway, before a clock disc explodes a mutant approaching the cameraman. Titan Clockman proceeds to open fire on the Skibidis, with his time gun freezing them in place. The Titan then uses 2 unique fire modes of this gun on a flying buzzsaw Skibidi. The first shot glowing a pinkish red, presumably stunning the toilet, He then does whatever this is, and then fires a second green shot, restoring the Skibidi to a functional condition, but now under his control. This is demonstrated as he obliterates the two Astro assailants that show up. But before any more damage can be done, the Skibidi scientist shows up on this? Seriously, are these legs a plane? I don't know anymore. Episode ends. Likewise with episode 2, I don't have much to say aside from their Titan now travelling back in time to episode 1. Is this time manipulation affecting the whole universe, the world, or just a region? I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out later on. It's unlikely this cameraman is the same guy from episode 1 and 2, as he was at street level when the events of those episodes took place and ultimately rewound to. And I don't know what kind of magic the Clock Titan was doing on that buzzsaw Skibidi. All we know that he was converted to work for him, with the time gun's different firing modes allowing him to subdue the Skibidi long enough to conduct his possession of sorts. Now we get to episode 4. We start with a cameraman playing chess with a TV man for some reason, but before a victor is decided, the Skibidi scientist mech falls and the Titan Clockman is now in a 2v1 with the scientist and the decoy Jimmy. The Titan shoots the decoy with his time gun, but the effects wear off quickly, but before the Titan mind controls the decoy, scientist interrupts him. A clock blade zooms in, looking to decapitate the scientist mech, but the assailant Astro catches it and carries it away using a tractor beam or energy field of sorts. The infected Titan cameraman can be seen approaching the city with more reinforcements, the chief clockman now advising their Titan to retreat. And so, the Titan retreats alongside the rest of the Alliance members, leaving the point of view all on his own with the scientist and the newly introduced magnet toilet. First of all, how come the time gun wore off on the decoy so fast? I believe it's down to the size of the thing being frozen, with larger objects and beings requiring more energy than smaller ones to keep them frozen. Jimmy and his decoys are noticeably larger than most of the Skibidi forces, and so would be more resilient. Secondly, where would the assailant be taking the clock blade? My guess is he's taking it back to the Skibidi base for analysis and research, as an autonomous upgrade to the flying buzzsaw toilets we've seen earlier. As for the Titan cameraman's return, the process of infection wasn't as fast as Titan speaker man's in episode 32, but as we will find out, the infection is a lot deeper and integral as hinted in episode 1, from him trying to stab the parasite from within. As for where Titan speaker man is, he probably tried to disinfect him off screen but was ultimately unsuccessful. So, episode 5 really starts when we see a large clockman walking with a large speaker, who are then jumped by a group of Skibidis. The large clockman attempts to freeze time, but fails due to the presence of a flying magnet toilet that is disrupting his internals. With a little help from the point of view, the large speaker man deals with the group and the large clockman is now good to go. But the large clockman breaks down again, but even worse this time before the magnet titan shows up. Okay, never mind. Either way, the two try to walk off before the magnet titan pulls the large clockman in and rips him too. Before anything bad can happen to the point of view, the furious clock titan shows up. Wait, didn't he retreat? No, never mind. With two of his mind control buddies, the magnet titan, realizing he is outnumbered, summons more assailant Astros before the inevitable fight. Okay, it's very obvious the Magnet Titan takes inspiration from the Detainer Astro. After all, episode 60 came out a month before Multiverse episode 5. The only other question I would have is why wouldn't those giant magnets affect other Alliance races like the speakers and cameras? Only recently did Boom give us estimates of how your normal and large Alliance members can weigh up to, but we will dismiss the weight factor due to hindsight. I'm more interested in how these giant magnets would affect the race's technologies, and considering how large they are and the magnetic forces being amplified by the magnet's horseshoe shape, it's likely they could influence or disturb their technologies even if it wasn't fatal. For cameras and speakers, their normal Alliance agents are unlikely to be affected by normal magnet toilets, but larger magnets like what the Titan is carrying would definitely cause some issues with the focusing of cameras and the sound quality of speakers, but don't even bother with the upcoming drills and pencils. The only two races to be concerned about are the TVs and the clockmen, with both of them being susceptible to regular and large magnets. The clocks being most weak to magnets in this series due to their delicate and mechanical components being influenced, so much so that they can be sped up, slowed down, or even completely stopped. As for the TVs, the CRT ones would particularly be vulnerable, as their cathode ray tubes would be affected due to the electrons being deflected from their rectilinear Thank you. Path as they follow to create these images on their TV screens. As to how much that bothers the TVs, we'll have to wait and see later on. I am still perplexed on how the large clockman was already breaking down before the Magnet Titan showed up through a gate. I don't know, I guess we'll have to see what happens in episode 6. I've already overanalyzed this episode and the laws of the show enough. Welcome back. Okay, so episode 6 starts with the large speaker man carrying the remains of the large clockman away in front of the corpse of the possessed swordblade Skibidi. The Clock Titan, despite the Magnet Titan's best efforts, is not affected in the slightest and freezes him with a pink blast of the time gun. The point of view then receives a message from the clocks that Titan Speaker Man is at their base, injured but able to fight, giving us a conclusion to where he is now Titan Cameraman is infected. Speaking of...
he's just standing there, menacingly!
Clock Titan attempts to freeze the approaching threat with a shot from the time gun, but is dissipated by the shield. Once within arm reach, the Camera Titan starts heating up the Clock Titan's core with his blue core fire, but the Clock Titan slows time to remove the expected external parasite Titan Speaker Man was once affected by, but there's nothing there. Even worse is that the mechanisms within his body are overheating, so time resumes as normal. After a back and forth between the two, he pins Titan Cameraman down to attempt to remove the parasite internally, but ends up decapitating the Titan in the process, as it has attached to his head. With the last of his energy, he undoes the damage he'd done to the Camera Titan, allowing him to make a swift getaway. Clock Titan, now overheating badly, is left vulnerable to the scientist's toilet mech that shows up through a gate wielding a variety of magnets ready for action. At the same time, a drill parasite toilet drops a spare wristwatch onto the Magnet Titan, freeing him from the time freeze finally. The pair hold him in place, but just as he frees himself, the Camera Titan returns and smashes the Clock Titan's core with his hammer's handle, leaving him vulnerable for a drill parasite to infect him. Unfortunately for him, the Titan's armor is too thick to penetrate, and is taken away by Titan Cameraman by the scientist's request, leaving the point of view at the hands of the Magnet Titan. Okay, where do I begin? Shouldn't the Clock Titan, you know, the Titan that's supposed to have a pre-established weakness to magnets, thought for 1 second, ironically, that fighting the Magnet Titan would be a bad idea? I know I was holding out on episode 5 because I thought he would make his teammates do the bulk of the work instead, but no, we don't even see them fight. Instead, the magnets of both the Titan and the scientist mech do practically nothing. You know it's bad when the most damage the Clock Titan sustained was not from the magnets, but himself and the Camera Titan. Do the established rules even apply to the Titans in this show? Case in point number 2, the Magnet Titan gets frozen by the time gun like Decoy Jimmy, and if we assume it's size that affects how long they are frozen by, shouldn't the effects worn off quicker or made less effective by his magnets? And don't even get me started on the wristwatch. You're telling me it takes only a small, little, insignificant wristwatch to unfreeze this massive Titan? The Skibidis must be slapping their non-existent knees right now. They have an easy and mass-producible way of countering the clocks by just wearing one around their necks, or maybe even their Skibidi dick. It opens with us riding Titan Speakerman to the clock base, with the point of view presumably sending the message the camera received in the last episode. As we enter the base, the Clockman and other Alliance members are standing around a workbench, with a large Speakerman and TV collecting and placing the large Clockman's remains to be operated on. The pendulum clock tries its best but is unable to repair the damage, but luckily TV Woman and the new Clockwoman show up to lend their assistance. Clockwoman pulls off the repair, with the large Clockman now back in working condition, the large speaker returning his hat and now establishing them as bros. But unfortunately, word has gotten out that Clock Titan has been captured, with the Chief dreading what's coming next. Okay, firstly, I don't think they're reversing time on the large Clockman. Instead, I think they're just repairing him, as that would require him going back to the same spot and motions he went through, just like the Camera Titan did in episode 6. And unless each Clockman has their own different ability, shouldn't the other clocks help the pendulum clock, or heck, even Clockwoman in their attempts at repairing the large Clockman? I get the sim is meant to sell Clockwoman to the audience, but still, I don't want the show to turn to Titans and Elite units versus the world. Now on to episode 8. An interrogation takes place between a captured Skibidi and the Chief Clockman. Oh yeah, Doc Speakerman is there too. It gives up the location of the Skibidi base before the big TV transitions us to Plunger Man, who has already received his glitch toilet from the Alliance, capturing it in episode 54. Plunger watches Titan Speakerman before the ground shakes, and both prepare to open fire. The Alarm and Guardian Clockman signalling them to cease fire, as the newly introduced Drillman species have now entered the Multiverse series, where we see 3 regular and 1 large Drillman emerge from a tunnel they just dug, followed by a larger rumbling after they greet each other, which is likely their Titan, with the agents receiving new orders for a new rescue mission. The episode ends shortly after. Okay, I'm on the fence about what the Clock Chief was asking the Skibidi. If it was where the base is, then it would have been obvious. But if he was asking where the Clock Titan was to your average Skibidi, now that would make me crash out again. But for my and your sake, I'm going to assume they were just betting the Clock Titan was at the Skibidi base. The interesting thing I want to talk about is why would the Skibidi remember being fried, even displaying emotions of distress afterwards? So that would imply events and memories retained even through time manipulation. Oh boy. So that means potentially all the events in episode 1 and 2 will be remembered by all the agents, Skibidi Titans, etc. And Titan Cameraman had to experience being ripped apart twice. Guess I have to take that into consideration now, huh? As for the Drillmen, I think they were introduced a bit too quickly and could have been saved for a more crucial moment in the series. Like, I don't know, let's just say the Skibidis create technology to counter or even utilise the clock's time-stopping abilities, so the Drillmen come in clutch and destroy the factories making this technology and deal a significant blow to the Skibidis' logistics or something like that. But moving on. Alright, now we move on to the last episode of Season 2, that being episode 9, with the point of view almost being lost to a Skibidi, but is defeated after being shot by the Handle Drillman's nail gun. The Clockman's helicopter arrives to extract both of them, with the new armoured Drillman and Alarm Clockman awaiting them inside. Before the extract is intercepted by Balaclava Skibidis, the Titan Drillman emerges for the first time, as he takes out a variety of large Skibidis, but is quickly suppressed when flying speaker toilets play loud and disturbing noises, which makes him quiver and lash out in anger and confusion. But after grabbing one of the toilets thanks to his grappling hands, the other flees but is shot down? Hold on, where's the by Titan Speakerman before flying off with the rest of the Alliance to the Skibidi base. The season concluding on both of them leaving. Okay, first off, what was he thinking when trying to drill the oncoming kamikaze toilets above? Wouldn't he, and especially his main drill, get damaged in the explosion? He could have, sidestepped or even just power jacked a hole for the Skibidi to fall into and avoid the explosion entirely. And I find it incredibly ironic how drills are weak to sound, yet your average electric drill produces up to 90 decibels, which can be harmful after prolonged periods of exposure without proper personal protective equipment like headphones. Not to mention the shrills, the roars that come out of Drill Titan are arguably equal, if not worse, than the sounds coming out of the flying speaker Skibidis. Which, speaking of, why did they stop playing the noise after one got grabbed? Wouldn't the other Skibidi try helping his friend rather than hitting the surprised Pikachu face? Also, wouldn't Titan Drillman just be pulling the source of the sound close to him, thus making it worse? Okay, I want you to imagine this scenario instead. We could have had a cool moment where Titan Speakerman shows up to help Titan Drillman by destroying the 2 Skibidis instead, the noisiest Titan of the planet saving the most susceptible Titan to sound, and thus planting a seed of friendship that will see them throughout the entire series and creating one of the most heartwarming dynamic duos in the Skibidiverse. But no, we got this instead. Okay, so today we've covered both Season 1 and 2 of Skibidi Multiverse by Dom Studio. The multiverse seemingly branches off between episode 50 of Boom's official series, with all previous events being taken into account for, respectively. That's why we haven't seen Titan TV yet, and Plungerman has his glitched toilet mobile now. In summary, we've watched 9 episodes with 2 new races, 3 new Titans, and a new sub-faction of Skibidi being introduced. The Clockmen are the first new species of agent introduced into the series that are capable of manipulating time in their own ways. Their dress code is reminiscent of British fashion, and the hand gesture is the OK gesture instead of the universal thumbs up. The Drillmen are the second species of agent to be introduced only after 7 episodes, with them using their drills for digging, construction, and even combat. They dress similar to the cameramen, but wear yellow shirts and ties mimicking their yellow drill contrasts to distinguish themselves. Their hand gestures are the universal thumbs up like the cameraman, which probably makes them best friends already. The magnet turrets are a new sub-faction of Skibidis introduced into this universe, who pose a great threat to the clocks by their mere presence alone. With their bright red toilet-based colours and metallic sounding voices, they can easily disrupt the Alliance's powerful new allies, led by the Titan Magnet Skibidi, to disrupt or shut down time-related abilities, and can potentially turn the tide of the battlefield with careful and deliberate interceptions, as other agents aren't affected nearly as much, so they will have to prioritise protecting their new clock allies by whatever means necessary. The Clock Titan is now captured and in desperate repair, and the Drill Titan is likely making its way to the Skibidi base with the rest of the Alliance. The Magnet Titan's location is still unknown, and Titan Cameraman is still infected for the time being. On top of all these new races, we have new abilities and laws in the universe. Clocks are powerful time-bending agents that are shut down and left vulnerable to even the smallest of magnetic foes. Drills have unique tunneling abilities that can easily manipulate the environment with their tools, but are easily suppressed with high-pitched and disturbing noises. And I'm sure we will see many more races and factions join the multiverse the more episodes we cover together. Well, that was definitely a first. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy following this series through as much as I did. As for my thoughts on where we are in the show, I think it's got a lot of interesting concepts and characters to play around with. I am worried the project will suffer from immense scope creep if we keep getting new races, characters and plot lines this fast. After all, we got 2 new races in 9 episodes, but we'll have to wait and see. This video and series as a whole is not meant to trash on the multiverse, but instead to analyse it and give my own thoughts, opinions and theories about it from start to finish. The multiverse has come a long way from seasons 1 and 2, with Dom Studio deserving every bit of their success by producing this series. It's a shame you don't go back to analysing early episodes like the official series made by Boom, but overall I'm glad I've gotten into watching this series again. If Skibidi Toilet 79 Part 2 hasn't been released by the time this video is out, the next video schedule will be the long overdue colour theory video and much more in the future. But for now, remember to stay critical, Alliance, and I'll see you next time.
Wie lange, wenn es noch ein Stück von jedes Fleisch, so in die Hüften mit